So to kind of follow up on the thought in the journal yesterday, today is Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. So it's almost noon, I think, a little after 11. But to go along with the possessive the my love, I was talking about at the beginning of the journal, I think it's just that one sentence, my love, and it was talking about my actual love, the way that I love, how I love, just, what I think of love. So my philosophy of love, what I've learned about love, since love has been my subject since I was 16 and I'm 46 now, so it's been a little over 30 years. And thinking about what does my mean. So in the journal, my meant claiming response, which is a relationship, like almost like a call and response, but claiming it is owning, and but not in a it's a similar word to owning. But claiming it's both acknowledgement and owning. Those are the two that I'm kind of coming up with. I kind of feel like I had an idea of what claim means to me is when it's like proudly belong, or like saying this belongs to me, or this belongs to me. So anyways, I started making the video because my love came up, and so the term my love. And then I was thinking about somebody who I had asked in 2019 to be my first love in the new world. It was like late December of 2019. I don't know, 29th, 30th, 31st, somewhere around there. Not before January 3rd, 2020. But anyways, I'd asked, will you be my first love in the new world? And they said yes. And right now I was just writing, and I was thinking, why did I say, I thought that thought before, but I was like, but why did I say first love in the new world? I had thought that thought about new world, because at that time I didn't know about COVID. I didn't find out about COVID until February 27th of 2020. So I had no idea. So why was I saying that at the end of December 2019? What was I meaning? And so for me, the answer is just, it was going to be my new world, because August 2nd, 2019, I started painting. I got the gift of painting. I never, I wanted to paint. I was recovering from a car accident. A friend of mine bought a backpack full of art supplies. It was a little acrylic set, like the kind that you get from like Walmart or something like that, or some art supplies. It's just really small, and I always wanted to paint. And I have a little video of it, but I've set up, like, I'm in my leg brace, and that was so painful. It had been almost a year at that point. My leg was atrophied, it was bad. But anyways, I was in my leg brace, and I had on Battlestar Galactica on my computer, the 2005 version. And that one, when I'm stressed out, it's one of my go-to shows. And it took me years, like, this is off on a tangent, it took me years to be able to watch this show. I couldn't get past the miniseries in the first episode. It took me at least on and off 4 or 5 years. I tried it like maybe once a year, twice a year, or something like that. Loved the miniseries, but just could not keep going. And then I did one day, and I remember it might have been 2010. I was in community college. I was at San Diego Mesa College. It was my first full semester, because I think I'd started that spring or that summer. And so, but I know it was fall. And I remember starting it, because you know how, like, sometimes you have homework, you got a paper due, you have responsibilities, and you're like, I'm just going to start a show. So I decided to start it. It's 4 seasons, and I ended up watching all 4 seasons in a matter of, 3 days or something. And I was really proud of myself, because I didn't miss class. And so at this point, I think I was 31 or 32. about a year into transition, female to male. And I consider myself, I go by non-binary and agender, and agender, A-G-E-N-D-E-R. It's also kind of like a funny thing because we split up the A and the gender. It's just agender. Gender's, it's been 15 years since June 3rd, 2009 was my first tee shot. So I just made my 15-year mark, and I very rarely, I was gonna say I very rarely think about gender. I very rarely think about myself that way. I feel like I see myself more as a spiritual being, just living the life, and I'm very grateful for the medicine that is the testosterone. I'm very grateful for my body. You know, I love my body. And it's not like I didn't love myself before. And that's a whole nother video. That's something else to talk about. It's just that I really went as far as I could, and I was suffering. I knew since I was little. My mom knew. She said that she knew since I was a kid. She had asked me when I was like 17 or 18. And when I was a kid, you know, she dressed me. I wore girly stuff, you know, like I just read in my room. I wasn't particularly boyish, in my opinion. I don't think in anybody's, actually. No, I can't think of anybody being like, because my energy was not that, but I didn't feel. So anyways, how did I get to the transition part? So I transitioned. Holy crap, I don't know what I was talking about. So let me just go back to why I was making the video. So my love, the idea of my love. Oh, why did I say be my first love in the new world? Why didn't I say be my love in the new world, or be my only love in the new world? Why? So that was the question, the new question that I came up with today. Like, I said first, and I know that when I said first, I meant forever. I meant number one. You know, I have my ideas about it, but why didn't I say only? And I think it's because, you know, I was born with so much love to give, and I've had many loves. I'm polyamorous. I believe in many loves. But that, for me, I want an exclusive relationship with like a physically exclusive relationship with my partner, my future partner, because I think it's super sexy. I think it's super sexy that that the love is so big. My love is like super big, and it's for the world. It's for all beings. You know, may all beings in the universe be happy. May they be well, may they be peaceful, may they be free. You know, like, it's really everybody and everything. And so and this might be a unhealed part of me, but it's still part of the idea. But it's the idea of, I'm the best gift that I could give you. You know, like the person that I'm with. It's like, I'm giving you all of me. Everybody else will have as much as me as God wills, as much as me as they are open to, as much as me as whoever I'm talking about will share, like what we're comfortable sharing, what we're capable of creating with one another. And creating love is what I'm interested in, making love all over the place. And so there's different, you know, there's multiple ways to love, so that's why I say many loves. And so, yeah, I was just thinking about my love, and calling someone my love, saying this is my love. Not my lover, because that's something. I like that term. I know some people don't. But one who loves, that's what a lover is, right? So anyways, my love. And then I was like, okay, my love means, and this is from the journal entry. I'm trying to get back to that point. This is how I think, though, and this is how I talk. And hopefully, you know, this is just this is me being intimate. So I was talking to somebody yesterday, somebody who has helped me with my mental health, not a therapist, but somebody who is in charge or a director of an organization that I've gone to. And I was just talking to them about this being a way, like when I write my notes or I'm doing my preliminary notes for how to be creative, because creativity can be taught. People use the term manifest, but I use the term program, and I feel like my ancestors might have used the word spells. I definitely use the words. I believe in words, and I believe in using them intentionally as tools of communication, of tools of conveying meaning. And so, and then it's up to the other side of it, to hopefully get that message and that meaning, or interpret it in some kind of other way, or I just thought meeting of the minds. So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place. But I was talking to her about that I'm pretty solo right now. I started the journey of painting in August 2019. I've made over 1,200 pieces in the last almost 5 years. So it's coming up in a couple months, it'll be 5 years. I've been homeless since 2021, since August 2nd, 2021. So it's my 2-year anniversary. The day before my 1-year anniversary, my mom passed in a house fire. So a lot's happened. And that was 2020 when she passed. And earlier that year, I was sick with COVID from late March to April 18th is when I got out of isolation, and the rest of the household that I was at got out of isolation May 2nd or May 3rd. So a lot was going on, but the gift of the painting was basically a job well done. I felt like my life clicking back together. So that's what I was talking about too. So what I had on Battlestar Galactica, I made a little 45-second video or something like that, 40-second video, saying, oh, I'm just gonna paint and see how it goes. And like, when I was done with that first painting, I was like, what? It was like click, 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 click. It was like all my dreams, all my lies, my poetry, my music, my writing, everything, was in that first piece for me. It was the promise, it was the fulfillment of things that I've been working on for the majority of my life. And it was the promise of a legacy and a future that is ongoing abundance and creation. So it was a spiritual milestone. And so during those first 4 months of painting, I made 77 pieces, and most of them are on paper because that's all I had. I had copy paper. And at the beginning of the maybe the first 8 or 9 months of painting, I had gotten like supplies from like paint or like the copy paper, 10 8x10 canvases from family and friends over the course of those 4 months. And I would be like, this is all my love. Like also the paintings when I said my dreams and all that. It was all my love. It was my spirituality. It was showing that my energy work that I've done over the past, consciously since I was 16 and followed the path God is love, devoted to God from I was gonna say December 2003, but it's really April, May 2004, where I gave myself completely to God all my life and all my lifetimes. All my life means all of my life, all of my creation, whatever I've been, whatever I will be, it's completely given to God. So that point started me on my path, was the path of Yeshua. And I never heard that term before. And then I found out that that was a name for Jesus, a Hebrew name for Jesus. So I felt really comforted and comfortable about following the path, because I've been raised Baptist Christian, and just because I have been asking God, how can I be in me, see in me, let me do your will? How can I be of service? What can I do for you? And I've been asking that for years, in my early 20s. I got that answer: walk the earth, spreading love and light. And the path is the path of what I was seeking spiritually. I know more about it now, but the path was to be unconditional love, to practice that, practice compassion and forgiveness. That's not necessarily the path of Yeshua. Also, it's the knowing that one's a child of God, for one. Like being able to know it and being able to say it, claim it, right? Just want everybody to know that they are loved and to love one another. Like just be good to one another, and thank God for our creation, for our opportunities, for our lives. And just know that it's way beyond, creation is way beyond what we know. I can't even imagine God, properly. The closest I can get is those positive attributes that we have put on people. So I think the best of us will be very close to what God is, and so that was part of it. Yeshua also had a lot of gifts, the gift of teaching, the gift of storytelling, the devotee, the student. So a lot of that part of the Bible that had been missing for a while. What is that? I think people have called it the 18 years. What was going on in his late teens and 20s? Traveling, learning from what was already there, and developing and reconnecting with his own purpose. And the connection was there, but it has to still be made and chosen, even though it's chosen. So there's a bunch of stuff, and of course Jesus is like, it's the irreversible victory. That's the thing. So a lot of times I get frustrated in my day-to-day life, when I'm dealing with Christians specifically. I don't consider myself a Christian because I almost consider it blasphemous. I know how that sounds, but I just don't. Jesus wasn't a Christian, so it's just I aspired since I was like 4. I'll say this to go back to spiritual path. I aspired at age 4 to be like Jesus and to serve God. So a lot of people I've met recently, maybe in the last 2 or 3 years, have talked about their first awakening or their consciousness of God and of themselves, really, and of their life before this life, their non-physical life, the eternal life, was at age 4. And I think that's really interesting. So of course, for me, speaking between 4 and 16, a lot of things happened, and I always still held faith. And part of my path and part of my programming was that no matter what, I would swing back, bounce back, come back, almost like Mercury, to the center point, to my original blueprint, my original purpose, who I was made from, who I was made for, so everything, so it's love, right? Just made from love, made for love. I am of love. I grew up in the heart of the mother. God has a wife, if you want to put gender on God, like the male God, people, the father. It's very clear. God didn't want man to be alone. God's not chilling alone. You know what I'm saying? So it's like so anyways, I grew up in the heart of the mother, and I grew up in darkness. Not only the darkness of the inside, the womb, blood, water, all of that, but I also grew up in a dark place that wasn't of the love and light that I come from. But I'm always me, and I am me, and I am who I am wherever I am. So I made it through that darkness, and I would say from 78 to 2020, I fucking did the thing. And in 2019, I knew it that day that I started painting. I was like, this is it. It's all my lifetimes, and it was click, 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 click. And over the period of maybe 6 months, things were coming to an end. When I was sick with COVID, I think it was like 18 or 19 days. Like, it was really bad. And it was early on. LA hadn't even gotten testing yet. They were getting it that first week I fell sick. So, because I was in LA at that time. But I was, before that, definitely I could feel my life change It's early December. I was gonna say December. I don't want to put a date on it. It's early December 2019. I felt a change in my body. I felt a rapid ascension. It was just, and it's due to partly meeting the person that I asked at the end of December to be my first love in the world, because I knew I was dying. I knew I was dying to everything that I was before, because I was so brand new and so alive, and I was in love. I was in love with myself. I was in love with the completion of my purpose and the spiritual goals that I set out. And I didn't know even at that time how fucking intricate it all is. Still can't really know, but knowing what I know 4 years later, I'm like, I was excited then, like, holy crap. So meeting the person that I was with in December 7th, was just icing, right? But during that month, I got my voice. So I could talk like this, even if it's circular, even if it's whatever. This is how I think. This is how I create. This is how I paint. This is how I travel. Multidimensional being. There's no one pole, other pole. Everything is like, I don't know if you can see this. It's my yin and yang. But darkness and the light. It's always moving. It's always alive, And so when I say I grew up in the darkness, I also feel like I grew up in hell, like a hellish environment, a hellish world. And dealt with that. There was spiritual warfare that I wasn't aware of consciously until 2020 and 2021. So that was after I feel like I passed. I had my life reviews. When my mom passed, a flood of love came to me and still is with me, but it was like we had been estranged for 10 years. I think I had only heard her voice 3 times in the past 10 years, but I love my mom. I loved her every day because I love that I came through her. She allowed me to come through her. She thought about me before I was born, like maybe 8 years before I was born, like when she was 12. She had a name for me and all that. Like, this is love, man. I wouldn't be here. When we fell out, it was because I was needing to live my life. It's my life. And I honor my life. When I love myself and when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm being good to myself, the way that my intuition and the way that I feel is healthiest for me given any given circumstances, my ancestors celebrate. All my ancestors are on this side. Like my mom and dad passed. Their mom and dads have passed. Everybody. So I'm very aware of my people on the other side, my beings on the other side, not only from my earth family, but from my star families. it's a big creation. So when I was saying like things aren't just one another, where like think about a diamond or think about a ruby, it's not like A side, B side, it's multiple. It's like multiple facets. And I think about my mind a little bit sometimes like a kaleidoscope. When it's active, because I've been meditating for over 29 years. My mind gets as still as it can. It can be it's just an immediate. I can immediately drop into peace. When I'm upset, I can do like this, and immediately it's like blowing out a candle or a quick breath, and immediately reset my nervous system. There's a lot of benefits that happen between December 2019 and 2021. A lot of gifts, music, but the speaking part, being able to move beyond the writing. The paintings also have freed me up because I was like, oh, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I won't have to talk anymore, really. I won't have to write. I've done all that. I've been doing that since I was 12. Like, as far as my spiritual journey, I've been talking to people about it on an individual basis since I was 16. There's a lot of denial around me. A lot of people who thought I was crazy. A lot of people who thought I was naive. There is a difference between naivete and pureness of intention. And then a lot of people, some people thought I was manipulative and all this stuff, but manipulative is an interesting word, because if somebody recognizes your creative power, first of all, somebody thinks you're manipulative, takes one to know it, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's like how we use it, just like fire. Burn down a house, warm a house. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like how it's a form of creation. Some people call it magic. Some people call it manifestation. Some people call it cause and effect. Like there's a lot of ways to look at it. But a lot of times I think of it as a call and response to the universe. Like what... Oh man, that's getting into something I don't want to get into. So I'm going to go back to my love, the phrase my love. So claiming that love, I'm responsible for it. That's my love. And this is the Taurus. This is the Taurus I have. I was born Sun Taurus in the 12th house from Western astrology, which is more than but yeah, sun. So I'm gonna get my chart real quick. So Sun, Taurus, 12th house, ascended in Gemini. Venus, Gemini, 1st house. Mercury, Taurus, 11th house. Mars, Leo, 3rd house. Did I do Virgo moon? 4th house? I think so. This is Saturn in Leo, 4th house. Jupiter in Cancer, 1st house. And I'm just getting to know that. Years ago, I thought I transcended my chart, which I did. If you think that is self-initiation, but I did a bunch of charts in between those 20 or so years, and then in 2020, I came back to my Western chart because it was the initial way that I learned, and I was going back to basics. Whenever I get confused, I go back to first principles, and that's why when I learn something new, I try to start off slow. Like with the meditation, 1 minute, then 3 minutes, then 5 minutes. And that took years. Because at least I told myself I can give myself a minute out of 24 hours, So a lot of this is practice, like Taurus, I'm a little bit by little. And the thing is, that's where the confidence comes from, because it's just a matter of time. If we're living, think about linear time anyways, it's literally step by step by step. And even when one gets pushed back, still step by step might change direction, might end up in the same spot and get diverted. You don't like, and that's how I feel like on an inner level. That's just an example. But it just means that it's guaranteed success, because I'm not going to stop. And because I have believed in people had told me when I was younger about past lives, and I was like, if there's past lives, there's future lives. So I grew up with that thought. So I had that thought I was working with that thought for over 35 years, I think. The idea that, and that meant that I could tap into a future. And then when I got older, I realized that I could, when I thought back on certain memories, that I could comfort myself from that future perspective and say, we got through this, or this is how you'll get through this, or just hang in there, so it's an energy. And I feel like sometimes when I was in my hardest times, when I was younger, I felt loving presence. And that could be ancestors, that could be angels, but it could also be imprinted with the compassion and love and respect I have for my younger self. So when I was talking about like my mom and celebrating my life, it's the least that I could do for being, I'm so happy I was made, right? But I wasn't just made in a physical way, right? I was something before I was born alive. I'm a living soul. And I was aware of that as a young person. So one can imagine how confusing and how, I'm going to just say it, how awful life was. Because it was always overlays. When I was dealing with people, I did feel out of step. I felt like they couldn't see me, but could sense me. Because energy doesn't lie, right? And as I got older, when I was way more clear, I'm going to say in my 30s, 40s, way more clear about what I was doing every day, what my purpose was. Is to love people no matter what. So it was loving everybody and making excuses. But for me, that helped my creativity. It also helped gain different perspectives on, it's the same reason I started studying astrology in my late teens. It was to learn about people. So being engaged with people, and then I had asked in my mid-20s for God to put me wherever God wanted me to be. So everywhere I was at, I knew that that's where I needed to be, and I paid attention to the people that I was with, because apparently there's 7 or 8 billion people on the planet, and I was dealing with a lot of one-on-one, or if I was in college, classmates, working at the bookstore, but the volume of people was very not a lot compared to the volume of the world, right? Or like how many people in the world. And this healing journey that I've been on the last 4 years, because after my mom passed, there was, like I said, like all this love, all this flow, these returning of gifts. And there was also I was also having life reviews and I didn't know that this was going to happen. 2019, when I felt like all my lives were like coming to an end and it was click, 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 I didn't realize that it was going to be life reviews for that long. And it's still ongoing, but from my aspect, it took about 3 years. But when I meet people, because in May of 2020, for my birthday, for my 42nd birthday, I asked for karmic justice in my life. I felt like I had done everything that I needed to do. 2 weeks before that, my relationship had ended. I thought it was mutual. It was mainly that we were incompatible. I didn't want to do a long distance relationship, and I think that on their side things might have been going too fast, but I don't know. Because I had to make a decision for my own happiness and my own peace and my dreams of living a good life and being joyful and spreading that love and light into the world. So no matter how much I was in love with that person, they were taking away from my joy and my peace and my happiness. And I was happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was happy before, and I was happy with them because I was carrying that happiness, and I thought, this is it. I'm building my life on this love. I'm saying all this to say that I continued that one. I still first day back here, I got back, I think, May 13th, 2020. I painted that night. I painted 2 pieces because I knew that the work was going to be feeding my family in the future. My family is more than any blood family that I might have. It's the human family. And so that's what I was trying to say about earlier when I was talking about talking to someone yesterday about some things. It was about when I make videos like this, or if I'm writing, if I'm taking notes about future game design, or my books, poetry, essays, little sayings on t-shirts, little things like, but just sharing my insight and my spirituality, my personality, my multi-dimensional way of thinking and being. This is intimacy for me right now. I haven't really wanted to be around people. The last 3 years, 2017 and 2018 and 2020, I was really dealing with a lot of people one-on-one, or 2 or 3 at a time. So I'm when I'm with people, because I thought about people and I still think about people as their own creations, their own universes. That's what I would say before. So, and then I would also think about people as their ancestors made them. There's that part in the Bible that says, I'm wonderfully made in my mother's womb. And so it's like, it's a Psalms. I don't remember it's 120 something. But, that was totally paraphrasing. But I would see people as their ancestors. And before I knew what that meant, because like I said, I didn't know about spiritual warfare. So this was pretty much for over 2 decades. I thought about people as their ancestors because I was working on generational curses. After I gave myself to God in April, May of 2004, I started one of my missions, besides following the path of Yeshua, but one of my earthly missions was to work on breaking generational curses and healing generational wounds. And so what I didn't know, I now I know I was protected completely, but what I didn't know is that broke open timelines, and I was dealing with a lot of stuff. And because I was so open and willing to serve and also curious, I want to learn. That's part of my spirit, just always wanting new experiences and to learn about things and to help and to grow and to share. That's just a part of me. I got involved in a lot of mess over the period of time from 25 to 41, if you will. That's the linear timeline, but it was over a lot, and I got treated I got stuck in loops. I got treated not very well. I got used for my energy and my innocence. And that's what I'm saying. Like, people thought I was nice. Like, at some point I became aware of definitely by age 30, 31, definitely by the time I transitioned, I became aware of my impact on people. I became aware of who I was dealing with when I was talking with them. And I was learning how to love regardless. And when I was on Facebook from 2009 to 2019, that was on my profile for religion, like love regardless. When I met the person that I was with in December of 2019, the one that I asked to be my first love in the new world, in 2019, I feel like I added myself to the love that I was loving everybody with and loving the whole world with and praying every day. Like, the loving kindness we was like, I'm talking about it because it feels so old. And I am recently, as happy as I've been, I'm also been angry about the levels of abuse and the levels of, I was going to say entities trying to stop me or stop the plan, stop something that was automatically successful. And that's why when I was talking about Jesus Christ, it's the irreversible victory. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever shall believe in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. That was from a perspective 2,000 years ago. We changed the timeline, but there was time before that, right? And eternal life, there was time before that, there's time after that. And a lot of us in Jesus' time passed. Our earthly bodies passed. And what do you do with eternal life? And for me, with eternal life, just for me to serve and to learn and to expand and to right now be patient. And I've been patient. But yeah, I was just thinking about my love, and that the term "my" automatically to me is a responsibility, and that I care for my own, and I care for my love, and I care for my peace. These are gifts that I cherish. So I protect my peace, and that's why I spend a lot of time alone. Time is a finite and precious resource, as much as I believe in eternal life and immortality, all of that. This time, right now, I'm riding my bike, right? I said it's Saturday, it's June 22nd, 2024, I'm in Sacramento, California, United States, West Coast. So it's the only time like that, and time is just going. So I've just been thinking about, I'm living at the shelter. It's been 3 weeks. And I've just been thinking about my next steps. Summer started, new season started a couple days ago in the Northern Hemisphere. And I am looking at some of the things that I've been working on and seeing how I can put this out. How could I share some of my insights, some of my spiritual journeys, and just hopefully make it fun and lighten things up. This is part of my autobiomythography. There's perhaps one day that things will be written linear, but this is a part of the process. It is a part of the process of creation. In this instance, it's also alleviating stress and making it like, I have to do it this way, No, some kind soul might be able to put a narrative together. Or maybe in a future time I will have the concentration in the interest to be able to do that, because that's not how I've lived, and that's not how I think, and that's not how memory works. And it's not even circular. This is scribble, and that's in my ink art, and that's in my paintings. So it's not like, circling back. It's like, that's a different design now. We might be on a different page. And so yeah, I've been thinking about love. I'm always thinking about love, and I've been thinking about conscious lovemaking and conscious co-creation, and what does that mean, and how have I limited myself in that regard. I have been very protective of my body and myself since that relationship. I'm like, this body is for my mate. Like, I'm not like, I'm not going to be with anybody till I get married. That's what I've been telling myself. So it's been over 4 years. And a time in this between, like, somewhere between, it was November 2020 to April 2021, I had no physical touch from anybody. And then in April of 2021, a Walmart employee fist bumped me, and that was a break in touch. But I had my body to myself. Most adults, especially moms, have not had at all enough time of physical privacy. Like most people, just don't have that. And so, and then I got my first hug at the end of May. So my body, when I became out in the world homeless a couple months after that, August 2021, I didn't want people touching me. I was like, I'm keeping my body as pure as possible. I'm building off of the highest love that I know at that point, because my relationship had broken up, and then my family, when my mom passed, and I was saying about gifts coming back and the community, like there was so much. There was like I'm not wanting to say it, but the truth is that there was my ancestors were like, get away from these people. And that was my family, my mom's side of the family. Get away from these people, because they are not good for you. They're not good for your future. And then I was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, I love them because, of course, love my family. Was gonna be building together, like putting our skills together, making a legacy for generations to come. Been talking about that with them since I was like 17 or 18. Now I know that I was crazy, blah 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 blah. But I was like, no, and then that's where I'm talking about the life reviews, and a lot of mine were measured time. Like, let's say it's a scene or scenario. Let's say it's just an evening out. This is an example. And it would be monitoring the hearts of the people in the conversation, and then what they were intending and what they were thinking and what they talked about before and after. Because sometimes people introduce you to people that you don't know in good ways, like a positive response, or not. Like, sometimes people have a false opinion of you or a negative opinion on you before they've even met. And I didn't know that there had been so much gossip and so much betrayal. And not love and support, not the way that if I talked about any of my family members, at the most I'm always telling the truth, but especially back then, I mean, it's always that. But it was always like positive, like just wanting to celebrate and feeling proud and all that. Remember, I always believed in people's dreams and what they wanted. I always wished people the best. I wrote it out. I would send messages. I would make video messages, audio messages, and then I would post it on social media, even ones that they weren't on, just like how much I loved and appreciated them, and stuff like that. So and I wanted people's dreams to come true. That was my path. That was my purpose. That was my chosen thing. Is like, I wanted people to have what they wanted, the highest dreams. I was weaving, and consider myself a dream weaver. I was weaving with our highest thoughts, our highest dreams, our romance, our wishes, our desire to heal. Like, anybody that I was encountering, the people that I knew, my friends, family members, co-workers, I listened, and every wishing well. I also, when I added myself to that love, I wish myself well. I'm the wisher. If I believe so much and want so much for other people to be happy and to be healthy and to be well and to be free of suffering, to be free of anxiety, to be free, liberty, justice, all of us. If I'm doing that, then that's my dream, that's my vision. I have to take care of that. So that's what I was doing in May 2020, when that relationship ended. I couldn't do long distance. I needed to be in my present, in my reality, in my body. And that was early COVID. I hadn't been on TV, like no social media, like TV and all that. Like, I was just painting. Waking up, taking care of my body as best I can, going for walks early in the morning because it was hot in the afternoon, painting, sleeping, yoga. Very simple life. And that's what I did. And I was building my wealth. Because my aunt had told me when I got there in May 2020, to the house, that this was a chance for me to become financially independent. And so that's what I did. As my family relationships were falling apart on my maternal side, still was doing what I was doing as I was healing from the devastation of that relationship breaking up, because it was not just a heartbreak. It wasn't a heartbreak. I had a heartbreak with my brother. That was the only heartbreak I feel like I've had in my life. This was a soul tear. So while I was healing through that, having revelations about how I've lived and what's been going on. So when I say the spiritual warfare, I didn't believe in demons until 2020, 2021. I saw a shadow of an entity on a family member's face who is a believer. But that meant that, spirits hop. There's energies that allow, I think that there's a saying about principalities, and I consider this like they're thought forms and energy forms that people might have, and that energies can tap into and act from. And use people for that. I grew up with people who drank a lot, and so in my household, and that's spirits, and that opens up to other things. So there was always stuff around, but I wasn't aware of it. And I don't know how I believe in God so much but didn't believe in the devil and demons. And I literally think it's because when I think about Jesus, I was like, that's done. We won. So it was really vague. But then I found out that it was real, and then once one becomes aware of it, that's another fucking fight. That's another, sorry for cursing, but that's another war, because you're aware. There's an awareness. So in the last 3 years, battling, astral traveling, which I like, learning more about my heritage, painting. Stopping painting as much because my self-esteem was getting wrapped up into it, and I was also feeling a little heartbroken about it because I thought that I was like, yeah, I was putting a lot on it, and I just had to, about the 4-year mark, I decided to not do it every day, pretty much, and to see who I was without it, and could I heal without it? Could I be happy without it? It's such a part of me. The paintings are how I view the world, what I see day to day, and how I put it together. So it's my travels, my conversations with people, what they're wearing, whatever if I've been sick in bed, if I've been bike riding, if I've been on the trolley. Here it's called the light rail. Those are my physical world travels, but then I travel here, right? Because not every dimension is physical. And that all goes into the work. And then it's when people see it, I call it soul expression. So when people see it, it's like a mirror or a reflection or a puzzle or a game or just beautiful colors, just whatever. But they see what they see. And I like when people read the pieces to me because it helps me see them differently. But they come out of me the way that they come out. And so that's the way that I've lived my life. And it's the way that I continue to live, because it is a visual representation of that I did what I did as I've done it. And that it's okay to be myself. It's okay to love myself as I am. And to know that when I make mistakes, it's never intentional. And I'm always ready to grow from it and learn from it and be different and do different. So there's a lot, so over the past 2 years, I also learned to love myself. Healing, while dealing with not great circumstances. I was in a shelter so when I was first homeless, I was sleeping in a lot of different places. At one point, I was sleeping under the freeway, like W6. It was like safe ground. It's called safe ground. It was like a tent community. And I got picked up from there and taken to a shelter that had just opened. So I was the first person in my bed at the first shelter that I was at. And I was there for 5 months before I got housing. And then I had housing for 13 months. The first place that I went and was not good. I was going to say, and the second place I went in was really, really not good. There's highlights in it, but the second place I was in for a little over a year. And the best part about that place was no curfew. It's like a boarding house, kind of, but not. But it was no curfew, and I got a set of keys, and I haven't had keys in over 2 years. So it was weird to have keys. So the only rules were no overnight guests and to treat each other with respect. So I love that I could just come and go as I wanted, and then I had a place to come. Dude, it got so bad. It's man, transphobia at the beginning, threatening of breaking my hands. There was just, and there was about 7 of us at one point, and then 3 people had moved out, and there was 2 other. But in that circumstance, because the homeless shelter was hard, it was my first homeless shelter. Living under the freeway in the tent, shit, man. I was talking about, sorry about the cursing. I was talking to somebody about that recently. I thought I was okay. Like of course, you like looking for bathroom, looking for water, looking for shower. But other than that, I still was painting, I still was living. I thought 80% of the stuff I had with me was my painting stuff. Because I didn't need many clothes. Like I just, and I really thought I'm doing this, and it got me through. If I didn't have the paintings, I would have killed myself. And I don't know if this is allowed. But I would have, because the world was really, everything was weird, but at least I could have the reinforcement of my spiritual purpose and my success and my future. And also I always thought about, ever since the beginning, like, this is for the person, the piece is for the person that's going to own it, and for the people who are going to see it. And that was from the beginning. I didn't make my first piece for myself until 6 months. It was my 6-month mark, and I thought, oh, I should make a painting for myself. I think at that point I had a little over 100. And it's, when I say the numbers, it's because they're the truth. That's just the truth. The paintings aren't planned; they come out. I just love what I do. And they're gifts. I just thought of them as gifts to. It's just a gift of love to share, And so I've sold over the years, but I haven't sold anything this year. I haven't put things out. I've just been resting. And planning and not planning my next move. I'm just waiting, healing. And when I'm healing, I'm healing myself and I'm healing others. Because that's just part of it. It's part of the vibe, that's part of the path. And so I've been really, I like my privacy. So when I get back to places, I fill myself up. So I lived by the river for a year at a shelter. So after those 13 months, and I got out of that place that had a lot of not goodness, a lot of, somebody like looking over me when I was sleeping, like it was gross. But at the freedom of movement, there's certain things that I ask for, and then there's certain environments and people that I need to be around for closing up reasons during that time, that it was just what it is. It's just what it was. The shelter that I was at, I was the most people that I've ever been around. It was about 150 people. And like I said before, the last few years, I've been working 1-on-1, 2-on-1, or 3-on-1 at certain times, but usually it's just me and another person. So because I value that other person, and there's a lot of information when I'm thinking about a person as a universe and thinking about a person as their ancestors come together. I was dealing with a lot. And there were things that, anyways, that's the past. The present is that I'm happier than I've been I'm happier than I've been. And I'm grateful to Sacramento for that, because Sacramento, when I was here in fall of 2015, when I first moved here to go to Sacramento State, I remember telling my aunt, my mom's older sister, that I was the happiest that I've ever been in my life. And usually when people are the happiest is usually when they're in a relationship. And I wasn't in a relationship. I was just myself. So that was the first thing of freedom, because most people want to be happy, right? And I had that recognition. And so that started a different path. And that was fall of 2015. So I was building on that, right? And so because of all the pain and all the knowledge that I've gained the life reviews, people to forgive, people to let go. I'm sure a lot of people listening have heard the phrase, like, not everybody can go with you, dude. I wanted everybody to come with me. But of course I gave it up to God. God's will be done. God's will be done, right? And God first. The thing is that also everybody, since the karmic justice thing, in our zeitgeist, we've heard the phrase, no justice, no peace. Peace, which means there has to be justice. And to be free, to be truly free and to live that way, you know, that's liberating. So that's why it's liberty and justice for all. That's been a focus. And so when I go places, that's part of the energy that I'm working with, and that's what I'm, you know, that's part of answered prayer. God answers all prayers. And so I was telling somebody, even when it's a no, dude, that's a yes, I got something better for you. You know, keep going. Stop resisting. Or for me, like, it would be like, if I'm resisting, it's for a reason, because I'm wanting to look. At this point, I know myself very well. It's like this, people call it navel gazing, but for me, it's like a lot of times I see stuff from high perspective, like more than a bird's eye view, like space view, bird's eye view, and then sometimes I see things underneath, and sometimes I see things microscopic inside, and then sometimes I see things super close up. And so that's how I look at myself. Sometimes the super close up and the reflection, that's in the work too, because that's how I was for a long time, walking through the world as a mirror and as a reflection, because I'm always self-reflecting. So that was a part of my aura, my identity, and my intention. And it was also a shield, because if I was being a mirror, I could see myself more clearly, because I'm interested in myself. And I was more interested in other people, because I'm with myself all the time. And so I'm looking for, of course, similarities. I don't like being rejected. Nobody likes being rejected. And I'm looking for differences too. I'm looking, dang, yo, you're really different than me. You know, wow, what do you know that I don't? Which is a lot, right? Everybody knows something way more than, and that's the interesting thing about people. But I haven't been very interested in people, because I've been overly peopled. And where I'm at now, so I've been here for 3 weeks. It's the first shelter that I had been in back in when I was the first one in my bed. So I'm back here. And it is such a better fit for me. I'm not taking care of people like I was at the other point. I was like emotionally, mentally, spiritually. That place was thick with warfare. And man, there are some of us praying. I pray without ceasing, but I know about 30 to 40 minutes before I got back, I would start my prayers and come in with that, my highest energy that I could from my day being out. Yeah, so that was a lot of work, and there was a lot of people, but it was also preparation. It's preparation for anything God has for me in the future, because obviously I was where I needed to be, and I asked for things, and I've asked to be of service and to go where and now it's not, it's more about joy. That's what I'm feeling now. It's more about, because at the place I'm at now, like, there was a lot of hugs and happiness to see me. Because when I left really fast, because I didn't want people to know where I was going, and I had got housing on my own outside of that particular shelter. I had went through another organization, and I just didn't want people in my business. And I was also people shy. I was hurt. I was as sweet as I am, I was bitter. How's it the end of the world? And I know so many people, and so many people have been watching me over the years, and so many people love me, and I am actually happy and living my purpose and my truth. And there is visual beauty that people in my life had cried over and wanted to, like, how am I homeless? Like, what the actual fuck? And it's because I have been praying since January 2020, and for sure 2021, that I be a with people of my same heart resonance, that I create from the highest love possible in my environment within myself. These are prayers answered. I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. And so now I'm happier than I've been. And I've gotten this, because I've had the 3 weeks of not having to take care of people and being loved on, because I get hugs whenever I want. And I've also joined a couple community centers, and there's a respect place that I go to a couple days a week. Just starting to have more community and still having time to myself. And this. And so this is, thank you for listening. This is very, very long. Thanks for being with me. I think that sometimes people are, oh, this is what I've kind of been going through. People, I can feel people are curious about me. And this is the way that I can share. You know, people are like, what did you do to him? I'm like, I don't like even saying, I'm here with you, right? I'm like, that was before. And I know it's not a very satisfactory answer, perhaps, but it's like, literally, I just want to live in the moment. That's the meditation part. That's the success part. When I got the gift of the painting and everything, click, click, click. I wanted to be able to bring my whole self to planet Earth, all my experiences over all my lifetimes, all my knowledge, all my gifts, and be able to ground it in the grid lines, the ley lines, and walk the earth as myself. And that's what I did, and that's what I thought I did, and that's what I've done, and that's what I'm doing. And so there's not a particular hurry for anything. I've been feeling a lack of vision, because I in my mind, the only thing that I haven't done is my material successes, you know, like if that's part of my path. Because I also, one of the things I asked for in 2019 was to have love be the currency. So I know that current, you know, water, electricity, energy, money, like I know that, but I don't know how it's coming to me. And so right now, you know, shelter, food, hugs, and time to figure out what I'm going to share and how I'm going to share it, and perhaps how to monetize that in some kind of way. Yeah. Maybe put out a short book of some of my sayings or some of my thoughts, and elaborate on that and correlate them to perhaps stories from my life. So that's part of the autobiomythography, which I also call Insibidi or Insibidi. It's from Media Corafor's books. It's a language. I consider this my light language. So, and light for me means illuminated love. And I think that's it. I'm gonna stop. I'm tired of talking. And yeah, I was gonna see if I could show you the water. So maybe I can. We'll see. Hold on. The glare, I can't really see.
Water is life. I gotta drink some water. Pretty sure I'm dehydrated.